Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining our AI Agent Vlog by Microsoft Reactor. I'm your host, Anthony, from Toronto, Canada. And we have our guest, Sanjeev.
Nice to meet you all. I'm the CEO of Life Singularity. Glad to be here.
All right, and where are you tuning from?
I'm joining from New Jersey, Anthony.
Sounds good. So everyone, so we are doing this vlog it's because I've been hearing a lot of people talking about AI agent everywhere, and I'm also a researcher working with academia on managing AI agent and being a founder building an agent. So we thought maybe we'll find founder to join this vlog to hear what they are making impact with the AI agent. So now let's jump right into it. So we have two warm-up questions for every founder. My favorite whenever I talk about AI. So first, Sanjay, what's your favorite sci-fi movie?
I think it's Star Wars.
Lovely. I mean, I love Star Wars too. Don't get me wrong, but my all-time favorite still Terminator, and
Terminator.
The Matrix.
Okay,
So
Matrix. Yeah, very
yeah,
good.
but I love Star Wars. And then so second question, do you play Minecraft?
No, I don't, but my kids do, so I'm familiar with the noises that come out of the other room.
Oh, I love the sound. I can go on. I just love the sound when as you inside. All right, so let's dive right in.
Yeah.
So first question, what changes are you and your company making with the AI agent, and what makes you special?
Yeah, sure. So, I've spent over 3 decades in healthcare, and one of our learnings was that health has never been able to get to a point, right? There's a lot of investment in health, and we just been never been able to nail it. And we came from a background of genetics, but now as we think through big data, right, and imagine how we look at our patient populations, our outcomes are the worst in the world, right? Not just as a nation, but overall in the industry, right? No matter which country, it tends to be something we have not achieved great success at. So, the way, we started to think about health is, if you imagine chronic diseases as a sort of a chain reaction, right? It's a cascade of dominoes falling, right? But when you go to a health system, your physician or, hospital, they treat each domino in isolation, right? So each event, and they only react when it falls, right? They wait for me to have an event, they wait for me to have that heart failure, and only then I can go get treated. And the worst thing is, then that's how the incentives work, right? Our incentives are perverted because they could have prevented me from having that heart failure and given me a better outcome, but no, that's the way it works. So we are building a revolutionary AI platform which anticipates this entire cascade, right? So thinking through our populations, which are 65 plus, Medicare Advantage, Medicaid populations, which each individual has about 6 to 12 chronic diseases, right? And these things come like a storm, right? So they are always multiplexed. It's very multimodal attack on your health. And so the way we need to think about this is we need a holistic approach around health as well. So the model has to be taking a look at multimodal data, right? So all the way from labs and images and disease and aspects like that, but also my context, right? Where I live, how I live, my lifestyles, behaviors, my environment, right? If I live near a manufacturing plant, my context is very different than when I live near a city, right? And so analyzing, putting together a team of expert strategists, right? So these AI agents coming together, thinking through the setup of my dominoes, right? So that gets down to my individualized journey. So my medical history, my genetics, my lifestyles, right? My social context, and then look at which, predict which dominoes are likely to fall and when, right? So the idea that then we can begin to deploy proactive interventions to prevent this chain reaction, right? And then we can transform reactive to proactive care, right? And so for us, thinking through the agentic universe was, put down a multi-agent architecture, because health is in effect multimodal and multi-agentic within your health, your biology as well, right? So the the idea that we can take multi-billion parameters, large language models, and build together a complex interplay between conditions, bringing together this multimodal data. So that's the RAG, if you want to think about that as, my retrieval. And then we create a real-time view of individual health trajectories. And then these models can intervene in a very sophisticated predictor critic uh, co-architecture, right? So the predictor is looking at the same lens as my critic is looking at, right? And then they can make judgments about where my health is going to go, and then what should I do in order to prevent that escalation of the health events, right? So that's a little
Yep.
bit of summary of how we are
No.
thinking about agents and deployment into the world of chronic, disease.
Yep. No, totally can relate that because unfortunately, because both my parents passed away in heart attack, and then they
Mm,
just kind
sorry
of
to hear that.
very difficult, right? And so you're definitely doing a great thing, great like impact, right? So now, two quick like a very quick like a quick question. For first one, I would love to learn your view. People talking about human with AI will replace human without AI. So
Mhm.
what do you see? And just quick, show a nice answer. What do you see the world would be if everyone start to use AI? What's that going to be?
I think and I think of it as a jagged frontier, right? There are parts of society that will, elevate, right? Our productivity, our efficiency, our ways of thinking, will elevate, right? We will achieve a new level there, but it'll be unequal, right? For many of us, right? Because just the benefits, the autonomy. I mean, when calculators first came out, people, stopped learning how to do math, right? It's just natural because you have a tool to help you do that. And now, if I turn over my autonomy, my thinking, there will be a loss of strategic thinking and, aspects of fragmentation and sort of cognitive offloading, right? You tend to depend on other things. So I think it is unequal, and I can sort of go into much more details about how this might unravel, but that's kind of my overarching view of how things will settle out.
Sounds good. And the last question quickly. So, if you can wish to have one AI agent be built today for your work aside, just for your personal like daily life, right? What would that AI agent be?
I think it's a muse, right? It's something that can help me synthesize, hypothesize, and being able to think through multiple interventions, and the idea that we can frame out multiple futures, right? So why did these dominoes get set up this way, right? Could we rearrange them entirely? Learn from a flock of birds and how they coordinate, and then how ecosystems adapt, right? So for me, it's just not about predicting the future, but helping create, design a better one, right? By synthesizing the wisdom from broadest possible spectrum of knowledge, right? So that's how I think of that muse for me as an AI agent.
Sounds good. So thanks again for joining us, and then thank you everyone for listening. If you want to learn more about Sanjeev and what impact he is doing in the healthcare, check the description, and we'll see you again in the next episode. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you very much for having us. Take care, Anthony.